First of all, it's a special person that is loved by both Mets and Yankee fans. It's a short list. Darryl Dock, Cody's on it, 5-time World Series champ, bunch of All-Stars, Cy Young winner as well. Cody, it is BT and Sal. What's going on, buddy? How are you?
I'm doing good, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, man, really appreciate the juggle. I know you were doing your podcast, and I was reaching out to you yesterday. I appreciate you coming through. Now, listen, got a few things we have to hit here. First and foremost, and you saw this with Blackjack McDowell, who ironically turned the season around. Carlos Rodon, big contract, some big resume stuff, a big-time pitcher when he's right, the injuries, and then the ridiculous, whatever, he blew a kiss. But still, the wrong foot. Coney, if Carlos Rodon gets lit up tonight, I don't know that he can recover. He's got to pitch well.
Well, it's a valid point. I mean, Blackjack McDowell did it in 1995 at home. I mean, it was a full one finger salute, and he roundhoused it and got everybody at the stadium. So that's a little different than doing it on the road. He was, Rodon was on the road, and it was a subtle little blow of a kiss to one particular heckler that was riding him pretty hard. So a little different in that regard, but nonetheless, I mean, Rodon, it's a big free agent signing. He got off to a bad start just in terms of being hurt. And then we hear that he might have a chronic back issue, and you're kind of wondering, whoa, how's this going to work out, and is he going to be the same guy or not? So, yeah, he definitely needs to make a statement that he's still the power lefty that the Yankees signed, that he's still going to be a viable piece moving down the stretch run here because, even though the Yankees have not played up to par, even though offensively they're challenged, they have a lot of flaws, they're still well over 500. They're only 2.5 games out on the wild card chase. They still have a legitimate shot. The Mets, on the other hand, they need to catch up. They need to get over 500. They need like a 9 out of 10 run just to get back in it at this point. But the Yankees are still right in it.
Yeah. And we're going to follow up on
Rodon.
We'll get back to the Mets. We're going to incorporate it all. But just a quick follow-up on Rodon, because it's one thing to look at the numbers, and the numbers are ugly. Nobody's disputing that. But you see things that we just don't see because we didn't pitch at the level that you pitched at. Is the stuff still there for Rodon? Are you still seeing the same biting stuff?
Not yet. No, just to be quite honest, I haven't. Rodon's got a simple approach. He's basically a two-pitch pitcher. It's high fastball and a slider that is a swing and miss slider. So, yeah, we haven't seen it. In his last start, the slider really wasn't there. And his fastball at the top of the zone was kind of there, but a little bit inconsistent. So, certainly his stuff isn't as sharp as it has been in the last couple of years. And that's something that we're going to look at. And you give him a little bit of a break. He's only had 3 starts. The rehab appearances and the simulated games you pitch are nowhere near major league level. So, it's a lot to ask of him to be ready and top shelf and ready to go and on top of his game after missing half the year. But pitching at home at Yankee Stadium against the Mets, this is a big test. You guys are right. He needs to have a nice game tonight. He needs to show what he could do. What
about the Yankees overall, David? I mean, we look at this team. You talked about it where, they're right in the thick of things. I've been more pro-Yankee than anything else, believing they're going to turn it around. They'll be just fine getting in the postseason. But, I mean, they've been awful. They've played themselves into sellers here potentially, especially if they lose tonight. How big of a game do you think this is tonight? And do you believe that everything is still out there in front of them, meaning get into the postseason and then do some damage if, in fact, they do get into the postseason?
Yeah, well, certainly Aaron Judge is a huge part of the Yankees. I mean, even going back to last year, I think one of the reasons he won the MVP last year is because he carried that offense down the stretch. So this has really been the whole second half of last year and the whole first half of this year where the Yankees offensively have kind of really struggled. They're below average, well below average offensively without Judge, and he's that much of a needle mover that he brings them to above average offensively. So he is the key, but they're not done. The Yankees need help. They just don't have enough outfielders. You've watched the Yankees play this year. I mean, I love Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, but he's gotten way too many starts in the outfield. And Oswaldo Cabrera, the young kid, he's gotten way too many starts in the outfield. These are 2 infielders by trade that have played a lot of outfield for the Yankees. I've never seen the Yankees so challenged to find outfielders in my whole tenure as a Yankee. So certainly they need to bring somebody in. If they traded for somebody like a Clay Bellinger, that would certainly change the equation for them. But they need some outfielders.
Yeah, absolutely. I got it. It's on David Cote, of course, the great Coney, and he's with us here with BT and Sal. I mean, David, the organization to me, I'm a huge Yankee fan, but I'm also going to call it the way it is. The Yankees are broken. I think fundamentally, organizationally, the Yankees are busted. Where are the lefty bats? They've had 9 left fielders, to your point. They still don't have a leadoff man. It's been basically a decade. Can you find somebody to bat first? Player development, we're always complaining about this. Now, I have been very critical of Brian Cashman. Very. I don't think he's been adaptable enough. But I'm just going to leave this open-ended. The things that I just said, the lack of lefty bats, even the lack of lefty arms, which the Yankees always had when they won to neutralize lefty bats with the short porch in right field. No left fielders, no leadoff man. Where are the players outside of Judge coming up through the Yankees look and feel broken. Is that an irresponsible statement by me?
No, I understand that completely. I mean, I hear it all the time from the fan base, and this is a fan base that grew up with George Steinbrenner, who definitely would make changes and fire people and certainly speak on the fans' behalf. So, if you're speaking on the fans' behalf, I get it. I totally get it. I mean, what's going on? Some of the bets that were made. I mean, the Aaron Hicks contract. They were counted on him a lot, and then you end up releasing him, and you still got to pay him, for 3 more years, and then he goes to Baltimore and kind of picks it up a little bit. So it kind of makes you wonder. The Joey Gallo trade, when it just did not work out at all. There's been a series of moves that you look back on and you go, hey, wait a minute here. We're going all the way back to the Justin Verlander trade in 2017. So even before that, going back to Jacoby Ellsbury, you kind of look at a litany of decisions from the fan base's standpoint and you say, hey, wait a minute. We had Brett Gardner. Why did we sign Jacoby Ellsbury? We had Aaron Judge. Why did we bring in Giancarlo Stanton? In terms of redundancy of skill sets, we kind of had that type of player already, and the list goes on and on. Why wasn't Bryce Harper more in the mix? Why didn't we even talk to his camp when he was a free agent? What about Manny Machado? Why didn't we even talk to him? At that point, these are 2 guys who really wanted to be Yankees, by the way. So, I know Brian Cashman would refute all that and say, hey, wait a minute, here was our thinking at the time. Here's what we thought. Here's the bets we made. It didn't pay off, but we made these decisions based on our internal information.
Yeah,
I get it.
But Cody, hang on. He can refute it all he wants. The record proves that he's been wrong more than he's been right lately.
Well, it's certainly valid. He would say that, hey, wait a minute, we haven't had a losing season for 20 years. There's no organization like ours. So, there's a difference between having a process in place and then being sustainable and sort of being competitive every year. And then the old guard, George Steinbrenner, no, we got to win. Anything less than winning the World Series is a bust. And so that's sort of the difference. The Yankees have a process in place now that they follow. They have a lot of input, whether it's analytics, general manager, everybody's got a say at the table. But at the same time, it's more about sustainability and process than it is about putting the emphasis on the results. Did we win or did we lose the World Series? And that is the basis for a failure or a championship season.
No, if that's the case, they've been failing since 2009. I mean, that's hard to fathom for the Yankee fan. David, by the way, can I call you Coney? I feel weird calling you Coney because we never really met, David. You know what I mean?
Coney's good. Absolutely.
Okay.
I'm good with that.
So we're going to go with Coney. Now, speaking of which, we met actually twice before. You'll never remember either one. One was in 1987. I remember getting my Topps traded Mets card signed and my Royals Don Russ card signed by you at some car dealer on Long Island. The other time, Coney, was when you were a member of the Yankees. Now, remember, I grew up a big Met fan here, loving the Mets. And it was a Subway Series game at Shea Stadium. In comes the Yankee boss, and I'm booing away and yelling and whatever. I think I told Jeter to his face, you wish you could feel like Ordonez. And here comes David Cone pulling a Jack McDowell on me. And I was like, Coney, not you. I loved you. Coney, you flipped me the bird one time back in, let's say, 1998.
Wow.
Oh.
That's pretty good right there.
Oh, it was great. It was
Hey,
true story.
He's still in therapy. It was fantastic for him.
No, I'm not blaming you. I was just hurt. Like, I was ripping the whole Yankee team, and the one guy that gets back on me was the one guy I loved because he was an ex-Met. I'm like, Coney, not you. And you flipped me the bird.
That's a great story. That is a great story. Wow.
Was that a regular occurrence, Coney, or was I a special guy who got under the skin there that made you flip me off?
I think that you're the special guy. I think you deserve the
He's
credit
got
for
that quality, Cody.
I'm a hard guy to get that kind of reaction out of. So yeah, I got to say it's you.
He was smiling. You mean that probably is. It always is me. But you were smiling away, laughing, giving me the finger. I couldn't believe it.
That is
one of my
crazy.
idols growing up. 1987, top signed a picture at the car dealer with David Cohn. One of my idols flipping me off.
I just can't get enough.
I
of this
couldn't wait to
story.
tell you that story, Coney. I've had that one for years.
Newlands Bayshore Ford. Yes.
Is
Newlands
that it?
Bayshore Ford on
No
Long
way.
Island. Yes.
Dude, you're going way back. I got a picture somewhere. I'm going to tweet the picture. My mother took it. Like, I'm half cut off. Here's Coney smiling. It was, by the way, David, it was with you, Dave Magadan, and David West. That's how I remember it.
David West.
Remember, David,
Wow.
before West got traded to the Twins
Yeah.
in the, I want to say, Frank Viola deal, if I'm not mistaken. And Dave Magadan
right.
was there, but David Cohn was the centerpiece of that. I got a nice picture. I'm going to tweet it out. I'll tweet it out. I'll at you in it. You're there smiling. Half of me is cut off. But then fast forward 10 years, you're flipping me off.
Oh, jeez.
Wow.
I hate the Yankees, Coney. You're a Met, whether you like it or not.
I think Cody had a rough night the night before. Maybe he was a little short-tempered, right? Maybe it's the wild, crazy days of Cody. That's what we'll chalk it up to. Oh,
We got to go out and have a beer. We'll hatch this out. Let's
Oh,
go.
I
There you
love
go.
it. No, there's no issues. I love you, Coney. But yeah, I'm up for that beer. I'm ready to go.
fantastic.
You're the best, David.
That is awesome. David Cohn. Should I I want to let him go. But I have to ask him this. I have to. And I know that you're going to answer truthfully, but I think it's going to be a really tough thing to say. I've never heard you ask this before. David Cohn on the mound. Sold out Shea Stadium. Massive big spot. David Cohn on the mound. Sold out, Bronx. Massive big spot. What was more enjoyable to David Cohn? Shea or the Bronx?
Oh man, I'm so lucky. I got to see both sides of it at their peak. It was they're very similar. People don't want to hear this. If you're a Mets fan or a Yankees fan, you don't want to hear this. But there is a lot of similarities: the passion, the knowledge of the game, the anticipation of the flow of the game. You get two strikes on a hitter, the crowd really start chanting for a strikeout. So I'll say this: the old Shea Stadium, the bowl shape of it was intimidating because the upper deck, just the shape of it all, it was so big. It was intimidating in the middle of that mound. There was something to it. And I was a young pitcher at that point. I was still learning about New York. So
Yeah.
My first feeling at Shea Stadium was incredible. It just was. It left an indelible mark on me.
You're saying Shea?
Because it was my first experience,
Okay.
and because of the shape of the stadium and how big it was. There's nothing like Yankee Stadium. Don't get me wrong.
Uh-huh.
Certainly, I'm lucky because I got to pitch more big games at Yankee Stadium. I mean, we won 4 out of 5 years, so there's a lot of postseason games at Yankee Stadium. But I didn't really get that big postseason moment at Shea. Both of my starts in 1988 were on the road at Dodger Stadium.
Mm-hmm.
In 1988, the first one was a disaster. I got killed, and then Game 6, I came back and kind of redeemed myself a little bit. But I never really got that big postseason start at Shea. All I had was regular season games there, and on Father's Day in 1988, I tried to throw a no-hitter against the Phillies and got broken up in the 8th inning. So we all wanted to be that first guy to throw a no-hitter for the Mets. So that's probably the biggest moment I had.
Yeah.
At Shea Stadium was on Father's Day. It was a sold-out crowd, and the crowd was into it, and I almost threw a no-hitter for the Mets, and it got broken up late.
Yeah, you all wanted to be the guy to throw the first no-hitter for the Mets, and then two of you went and threw no-hitters with the Yankees.
Yes, go figure.
Yeah, go figure, exactly. And then you wonder why I'm cursing you out at Shea Stadium as a Met fan. I'll tell you this, you worry about the passion from the fan base. I guarantee you, Cody, you never flipped off a Yankee fan. You did flip off a Met fan, though.
Oh,
Love
man.
you, Coney.
We're getting that beer,
Thank
Coney.
you.
Good stuff, dude.
I like it. I love it.
Thanks, man.
That's great.
There you go. The great David Cohn, 5-time World Series champ. I'll tell you what, so we'll get the update here, get the calls as well. I went to, this was last summer, went to a bunch of Yankee games. We had the Judges Chamber. Me and Teague had a bunch of listeners.
I remember.
Okay, sat out there, and obviously I had an okay, and we go up to the guest broadcast booth, and I say, you see Coney. Coney reaches into his brief. My son is 7 at this point. Reaches into his briefcase, gives it to my son Colt, and he says, "Colt, you know how to throw a 4-seam fastball?" I'm like, "Come on, dude, don't forget. I know you know this. Don't forget now." And he does it. He's like, "You know how to throw a 2-seamer?" and he does it. He has the baseball in his room that
That's
Cody took
awesome.
out of his briefcase. Cody's the best.
That's great.
Except the one day when he met you.
No, he was. Truth be told, BT, like I said, normally I'd be like, "Oh, screw you." I was not. I was like, "Oh my God, Coney, I love you. Don't hurt me like that." But I understand it because he did what he should be doing: protect his teammates.
That's right.
I was razzing those Yankees. I was getting on him, and Cody protected his guys.
Always the team guy.